What's good with y'all? Welcome back to the Divine Illumination. Alright, so dimensions. Let's get straight into it. First of all, we are multidimensional beings having a human experience, meaning we exist simultaneously in multiple dimensions, but our consciousness is in this human body at this point in time, right? So 7 is a very significant number. We got 7 chakras in our bodies. Music is known to be the universal language. There's 7 notes in the musical scale. There's also 7 colors in the rainbow. And there's also 7 dimensions, right? So what is a dimension? To sum it up, it's basically just a level of consciousness, right? It's a level of consciousness vibrating at a certain rate. So the lower the dimension, the slower the rate of consciousness. The slower the rate, that frequency rate is, right? Then the higher up you go into the higher dimensions, the faster that frequency gets. So basically that means the beings in higher dimensions they have a better ability to express themselves. They can express themselves in a lot more ways, right? So let's get into the first density. The first density is the dimension. Dimension and density is kind of the same thing. So the first dimension is the dimension of beingness and awareness, right? The organisms in the first dimension is just the natural. It's your fundamental dimension. It's just the natural elements: earth, water, fire, air, right? And those beings interact with each other. I say beings because everything on the planet every natural organism on the planet is alive. It has a certain level of intelligence, and they communicate with each other in a different way than we communicate with each other, right? So the beings in the first dimension, earth, water, fire, and air, interact with each other, and over billions of years of clashing and molding with each other, they finally evolve into the second dimension. And the second dimension is the dimension of growth. It's when your microorganisms, plants, and animals come into play, right? And then those second dimensional beings develop the intention. They develop an intention. They set that intention to grow. Their main purpose is to grow and survive, right? So those second dimensional beings continue to grow and evolve, and over a certain period of time, they finally evolve enough into the third dimension, all right? And the third dimension is the dimension of self-awareness. That's where humans come into play. We're the only creatures on the planet that is aware of self. We have a sense of identity, right? And going back to the second dimension, where I was talking about microorganisms, plants, and animals, right? And we all know we have animals as pets, certain animals as pets, right? So third dimensional beings have the ability to accelerate the evolution process in second dimensional beings. Meaning, if you have a pet, you give that pet a name, you care for it, you love on it, you take it on walks, you develop a relationship with that second dimensional being, right? So now that pet, that dog or cat or whatever, it starts to realize that it has an identity. It develops a sense of self, right? And now that second dimensional being is aware that it has an identity, and that accelerates the process of evolution. So that soul can now move on to that third dimension a lot faster. So back to the third dimension. Like I said, it's the dimension of self-awareness, and that's the toughest dimension throughout all 7 of them. That's the hardest one to get through, because in the third dimension, we go through the veil of forgetfulness, where we forget that we are infinite beings just having a human experience for a brief moment in time. We forget that we went through all of this stuff before we arrived here as humans, right? In the third dimension, we becoming more aware, right? So we also become aware of polarity, like good and evil, positive and negative, right? The third dimension is also the introduction to free will. So now we have the choice to choose whether we want to be like positive or negative, good or evil. So all of this is being introduced to us. And the main goal of the beings in the third dimension is to, like I said, excuse me, like I said, we went through that veil of forgetfulness. So the main goal in the third dimension is to remember who you are. That's why I say in a lot of my videos to don't focus on what's going on outside of us. Focus on the world within you. Remember who you truly are, right? That's the main goal in the third dimension, is to remember who you are. So we go through this process, we keep evolving, and we make it to the fourth dimension. The third and the fourth dimension is very close together. Like the beings in the fourth dimension are still human. It's just a higher level of consciousness, right? So we become more aware of, the fourth dimension is the dimension of love and understanding. So we become more in tune with the things around us, and we have love for the people and the things around us, right? And we understand each other a lot better. The fourth density is really where true unity comes into place. Like you at peace with everything. You are one with everything. That's when you start that process. So as you get that understanding, you understand that you are one with everything, and you love, and you grow a stronger love for the things around you. We evolve into that fifth density. Now, the fifth density is where it's no longer, this human body is too dense for the fifth density. In the fifth density, there's light bodies. Now, I'm going to talk about this for a second. For my people who don't believe in aliens, extraterrestrials, or whatever, let me say this. Most of y'all are Christian. So, how can God be from the place he created? They said he created this earth, right? How can God be from the place that he created? That's like saying, say I built a hospital, right? I built this big hospital. And then you got somebody telling you that I was born in the hospital I built. Like, it's not, no. How can I be born in the hospital that I built? So how can God be from the planet that he created? So I just said that to say that there are extraterrestrial beings. Like, God himself or herself, whatever you believe, is an extraterrestrial being. So, but anyway, going back to the fifth dimension, that's where light bodies come into play. That's where you get those higher dimensional beings like angels and even demons, those light body beings, right? The fifth dimension is where you develop a much stronger connection with infinite intelligence or source energy. On the fifth dimensional planet, the beings on that planet are much more in tune with each other because it's one mind. That is true unity. It's true unity. It's one mind, one goal. There's no more polarity in the fifth dimension because there's no good and evil. It's only love. Only love exists in the fifth dimension. Right? Then moving on to the sixth dimension, that is, you gain even more wisdom, more intelligence, and that's really where your intuition, your higher self, that's where your higher self is. And the goal in the sixth dimension is to guide the lower dimensional self along the way, right? That's another reason I say stay in tune with yourself, because you'll be able to clearly receive those messages, clearly know what you need to do to take yourself to the next level, right? And then the seventh dimension, that is infinite source. That is infinite intelligence. That is source energy. That is the all. That is the creator, right? That is everything. That is all knowing, all the power. That is the source right there, the seventh dimension. But yeah, that's a brief little introduction to the different dimensions that exist in this universe. There's a lot more to it. I was just really scratching the surface. It's a lot more to it. I encourage y'all to do your own research, because the truth cannot be told. It has to be realized, right? So do the research yourself and come to that realization yourself that that is your truth, right? So yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you ain't subscribed already. But and also comment down below in the comment section. Leave some topics down there that y'all wanna hear about. We could talk about whatever on this channel, as long as it's some information that we can use to uplift the people. I'm all for it. We could talk about it. But yeah, that's it for now. Peace, much love. I'm out. If you stand for something, you never fall for nothing. When they approach you with rubbish, make that the end of discussion. With glitters ain't always gold. Play it smart, just don't rush and feeding you gourmet lies. Don't believe them, they bluffing. We gotta stay strong for our mothers and sisters.